So good morning and welcome, and so glad to see everybody this morning. I know many of you here, but for those I haven't met yet, my name is Shannon Lozinsky, and I am the Director of Patient Services at the Chordoma Foundation, and I'm so glad to officially welcome you to the 2018 International Chordoma Community Conference. I'm very glad that you all were able to make it here okay. The weather earlier this week, or at least the weather forecasts, made travel quite an adventure for many of us, but the award, of course, for the longest travel was given at the awards dinner last night to Dr. Kevin Mellert from Germany, and at a travel time of 70 hours, I think. Yes, he definitely takes that one home. But in any case, I'm glad we're all here together. This is the 13th community conference, and almost can't fit them on one slide anymore. So many good pictures up there. So this is 13 conferences in 11 years of the foundation, and it's really wonderful to be here with all of you this weekend. The room is nearly full, and that's really wonderful to see. We had some terrific opening sessions yesterday and the awards dinner last night, and I hope that today will be just as meaningful for everyone. I have just a few brief comments to get the day started. I'd like to first recognize and give many thanks to the conference organizing committee. They have worked very hard over the last few months to make this event happen. If the committee members who are here with us today could please stand up, give a wave, take a bow, whatever you'd like, so we can thank you. And you can also look to them throughout the day if you have questions about anything. What's that? You come up then, yes, hello. Are you coming?
Shannon and Chase have worked tirelessly on this conference, and we know it's their job, but it's, above and beyond to work with a group like us. And you've kept us in line, and you've kept us going, and we want to thank you.
Oh,
so
thank
this
you
is
so
for
much.
you.
Thank
and
you.
we're Norma have something from Chase, and it's from all of us.
Oh, thank you. Is Chase
so
in
much.
here? I'm not sure. Thank you.
You can give this to
I
Chase.
will. Thank you.
Right, no, the cards are different, so don't mess
Okay,
them.
I won't read
Don't
Chase's
mess them
card.
up. Thank you. You're a rock star.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks. It was supposed to be a thanks to you guys. Jeez. Okay. Okay, where am I? Okay, so I also want to thank and recognize my awesome teammates at the foundation. Organizing our research workshops and community conferences is no small feat for an organization like ours with few staff members. But everyone always pulls together and works even harder than usual to make the events possible. And because of the work and dedication of the staff and the organizing committee, our community conferences have continued to get better and better over the years. So a few announcements. As most of you likely know, in January of this year, the foundation launched an online community called Chordoma Connections. It's a private community available to anyone in our community, and we aim to have a place for everyone. So no matter where you live, what language you speak, or your relationship to Chordoma, there's a place for you there. And if you haven't joined yet, I hope you will do so. If you want to sign up today, just come see a staff member and we can help get you signed up. And those of you in attendance today have received a copy of a draft version of our new booklet, Expert Recommendations for Treatment of Recurrent Chordoma. This booklet will be a complement to the expert recommendations for the diagnosis and treatment of chordoma booklet that we already have, that we created in 2015. And both of these are faithful summaries of information and recommendations contained in medical papers that have been published by the Chordoma Global Consensus Group. And we've given you a copy of the draft booklet because we'd like your feedback before we finalize it. We want to hear what you think of the layout, whether the content is easy to follow, if anything is confusing, things that will help us make it the best resource it can be for those who are experiencing a recurrence. So please take these booklets home with you and read through them, and then there's a link on the back page where you can go to complete a brief survey, just a few questions to give us your feedback. I'll also send you next week an electronic copy of this with the link as well. And please know that this is not the final designed version. This is just the flowcharts have been worked by a designer, but not the rest of it. This is just the best I could do in Word. So if there's big blank spaces on pages, please excuse that and know that they won't be there in the final one. And as far as a few notes on the agenda, this morning we will have a memorial tribute. Chris Stahl and Maureen LaForge, two members of our organizing committee, put a lot of love, care, and thoughtfulness into creating this memorial. And Chris will come up to present the memorial to us in just a few minutes. And I want to take a moment to say that while the organizing committee decided that it was important to share this memorial, we also understand that it may be difficult for some to view the memorial, and by showing it to the group as part of the conference, we certainly don't mean to force it on anyone. So if you feel it might be too much, please know that it is okay to step out of the room during the memorial and then rejoin us when it's done. And following the memorial will be our keynote speaker, Deborah Jarvis, which we're very excited about. So if you do step out, please make sure to rejoin us for Deborah's talk. There are also cards in your folders that you can use to write questions throughout the first part of the morning. And then we will ask these at the Ask the Experts session. So please be sure to turn these in at the morning break so I can get them all organized to be ready for that session that's right after the morning break. And then as far as planning the rest of your day, no, don't need to go forward, there we go. There's some choices to make for later today. So during lunch, each table will have a topic for discussion, and there'll be someone at each table to talk with those interested about different ways to get involved with the Chordoma community and the work of the foundation. In your folders, you'll find a sheet that describes what will be discussed at each table. So please take a moment to look at that sheet to decide what you'd like to learn about and talk about at lunch. And our development director, Bree McCormley, will step up here right before the lunch break to tell you a little bit more about it. And after lunch this afternoon is filled with breakout sessions focused on different aspects of survivorship. The National Cancer Institute has an excellent dictionary on their website, cancer.gov. If you've never checked it out, you should. It's very cool. And this is how they define survivorship. And so we have sessions planned this afternoon to help you learn more about many of the aspects mentioned here. So please take a look at the descriptions of those sessions to think about which ones you would like to attend. And please let me know if you have any questions about it. And then there will be a closing address at the end of the day after those breakout sessions, so please make sure to come back in here for that closing address. I think you won't want to miss it. And some final housekeeping notes. CF staff are available and here, so please let us know if you need anything. If it's too hot in here, too cold in here, if you need a place to rest for a few minutes, we're here to help. Be sure to visit the resource tables out in the foyer. There's some free resources and also some that are available for a suggested donation, including our keynote speaker, Deborah Jarvis, one of her books, and then a book by our very own Susan Garbett about her journey with sacral chordoma. So those are available. And if you would simply like to make a donation, there's many ways you can do that as well. And our development coordinator, Daniel Baroff, is here to help you with that. And Daniel also has the most musical talent of anyone on CF staff. And so when it's time to return to sessions after the break, you'll hear Daniel playing the lovely sounds of the chimes. Very well done, very well done. And lastly, we want to thank the medical institutions who sponsored the community conference and thank them very much for their support. So to continue the welcome, I'd like to introduce Andy Sholkoff, the chair of our board of directors. Andy, we're so glad you're here. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Nice to be with you. Thank you for being here. I know it's sacrilegious to start the day with having a beef with Josh, but man, he is working us hard. We have been up at 7:30, down here at 7:30, and he'll till about 10:30 every day. But I think we've accomplished a lot. Those of you who attended dinner last night, I said one of my favorite parts of this experience every 2 years is that we have the opportunity to kind of trend from the research workshop into the community conference, and that's just awesomely inspiring for us because it kind of translates everything that we're learning to the practical impact and the reason that everything is going on. So I like just to take a few minutes to kind of share with you our kind of board perspective on how things are going. I think that these moments every few years where we kind of get to rest and reflect and get reconnected with the broader community of researchers and scientists are pretty extraordinary for us on the board. And one of the reasons is right now the scale of the organization and the scale of the accomplishments that Josh and the staff are making and that the community are making are kind of in hyperdrive. So when I spoke to you a couple of years ago, we had a board of 6 and a staff probably of 6. We now have more than 10 on each part of that. And I think I'm really proud of the level of discussion and feedback that we provide Josh and the staff on the board now. I think we have a very full suite of kind of experiences and expertise on the board, which is pretty helpful to Josh. I also still have the incredible opportunity to have a weekly call with Josh. We speak every Monday evening at 5:30, and recently it's been more like 3 or 4 times a week. So the consistency with which Josh is excited about what he's hearing from people is pretty profound. And frankly, the really fascinating thing for me is that the pattern of our conversation has changed. There's just so much more meat on the bones in terms of how much work the staff is doing. Shannon, who began the day, I think is extremely modest about the impact that she's having. The fact that we now have a professional patient navigation service staffed by intelligent people who know how to direct people to the right care is a huge achievement, and is having a profound impact on the course of the disease for the people facing it. And I'm incredibly proud of that. Thank you, Shannon. From a fundraising perspective, I'm also kind of gobsmacked at what progress we're making. I think we announced earlier this week a new alliance that feels quite different to me, which is a professional association with the Mark Foundation for Cancer Research. I don't know if you'll speak more about that today, Josh. I hope you will. But that's an organization founded by a man named Alex Naster, who is a billionaire who is trained as an engineer and a mathematician who was a hedge fund manager who was very successful, and he lost his father to cancer in a very unsuccessful and heartbreaking way, and he determined to commit a very significant amount of his wealth, let's call it hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, to the study of cancer research. And we have announced that we and they will be partners and are launching a joint RFP to award a Therapeutic Innovation Award, and that came together so quickly, and that they view us as peers, and we're excited about all of the things that the foundation has done already that they wish to do in the future is pretty extraordinary for me to participate in that with Josh. Ultimately, I'm reminded that this is all about the experience of the patient and the outcomes that we provide. So if you all have the opportunity to watch some of the videos from the presentations yesterday, I'd point out 2 if we have transcripts or recordings of them. One is Chris Heery ran a group discussion on patient outcomes, and that was informed in large part by the survey that the Education and Outreach Committee and the staff were instrumental in pulling together, in which Paula Song, who is here, and her colleagues presented in a paper. And I was struck again by that work from a couple of years ago, how many researchers note that in the footnotes or discuss that in their conversations. That's incredibly important work, and I congratulate those of you here, Adrian and others, who are on the Education and Outreach Committee. One thing that we talked about a couple of years ago that appeared 2 years ago when we met together that was sort of pressing was this notion of developing an online community that had, again, real meat on the bones in terms of discussion groups and information posts that would inform patients and help others share information about their journey with the disease and learn. That has been successfully launched. Again, I think I see in my business life where you launch new software, you launch new products to people. I've not seen anyone do it in my professional career as seamlessly as Shannon and her team. It's been completely hiccup-free, it seems to me. I'm super proud of that, thank you. It's been launched for about 60 days. We have folks, about 400 plus members registered already. And I think the filter on registering more has been some concern in the staff that if you had a whole lot more folks in a hurry, it might blow up. And of course, now we know it's not going to, and I expect we'll have a great many more. So there are folks from 28 countries, 30 of the US states, 4 of the 10 Canadian provinces. Stephen and Ed, I would say, the fact that we see Stephen Golick and Ed Less in the back there, the fact that we see so much more traction in the level of activity in Canada, I would not be at all surprised if it's not due in large part to your efforts. They together ran an incredible fundraiser for the Canadian Cancer Society, which will benefit Chordoma Research, which raised about $300,000. I'm grateful to you both. Thank you. And then, ultimately when we try and kind of geolocate, turn on our GPS, figure out how we're doing as an organization, I find that the comments from the folks at the research workshop and of course the comments from patients that we'll hear today are the most cogent. So again, if you have an opportunity to read the notes or review, there was a presentation yesterday by a gentleman named Adam Resnick from the Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania. This was a new experience for us in as much as he put up a slide and devoted a significant amount of time in his talk to the value that he had received from the foundation. And I'll give you a couple of quick anecdotes from that. First is that he noted the incredible strength of the Chordoma community as being incredibly important to his work. He noted that the Chordoma ecosystem broadly has evolved significantly and that Josh and the team have been primarily responsible for that. He also gave us two great quotes. The first was that the Chordoma Foundation is a partner like no other, that he does not know of any other patient advocacy organization in the world that has the level of impact on the disease that this one does. So think about that for a second, because I think we get used to being together as a community and we see old friends and fresh faces, but it's hard oftentimes to put that in a context. He also said, Josh and the others on your team can do more with fewer people than any organization I've ever seen in the world. So imagine as a member of this community and as board chair, imagine how good that feels and how validating that is to the work of Shannon and Josh and Tammy and the team. So I wish you well on the experience of joining the conference today. There are quite a few board members here and obviously the entire staff. If you have questions or concerns along the way, I hope you'll just grab one of us and ask us. We'd like very much to have feedback of all varieties and the unvarnished truth about everything that we're doing and what we can do for you. And with that, I thank you very much for being here. Welcome, and look forward to being with you today.